My dad left me everything. Then his secret daughter showed up. What would you do if someone showed up after your father's death claiming to be your sibling, with DNA proof, and demanded half your inheritance? A few weeks ago, I received a letter from a woman I'd never met, claiming to be my half-sister, the daughter of an affair my father had over 2 decades ago. She said she had proof and wanted half of the $400,000 inheritance I received when my dad passed away 6 months ago. To say I was blindsided would be an understatement. I'm 35 years old. For as long as I can remember, I believed I was my father's only child. My parents divorced when I was a teenager. I knew it had something to do with an affair, but my father never talked about it in detail. After the divorce, I lived with my mom but continued to see my dad regularly. We had a rocky patch, but eventually, our relationship healed, and we stayed close up until his death. My dad left everything to me in his will, his house and a small business he owned, altogether worth around $400,000. I've been living in the house and running the business since he passed. Then came Anna, not her real name. She first reached out via letter. Included were photocopies of old handwritten letters from my dad to her mother, the woman he had the affair with. The letters were unmistakably in his handwriting and even mentioned a baby girl by name, along with a line where he acknowledged he was the father. She claimed she also had DNA proof through a genealogy service and offered to take a sibling DNA test with me. We talked on the phone, and I could tell she was nervous. She explained that my father had been sending money to her and her mom for years, but had never been present in her life. She said that in the final year of his life, he promised to finally make things right by providing for her and her mom financially. But he died before any changes were made to his will. She asked me to honor what she said was his intent, a 50-50 split of the inheritance. I told her I needed time. I won't lie, my first reaction was defensive. This was a massive revelation. I didn't yell, but I was emotionally distant on that first call. She sounded hurt, but wasn't pushy. She followed up later with more details about her life, her kids, her mother's declining health, and again expressed that she just wanted what was fair. Legally, I owe her nothing. The will is crystal clear. Everything was left to me. But morally, I'm not so sure. I can see that she's not to blame for any of this. It's not her fault she was born from an affair. It's clear my father hid a lot from me. And while I sympathize, splitting the inheritance in half would seriously disrupt my life. It's not cash sitting in a bank. It's my home and the business I work in. Giving up half would mean selling something, taking out loans, or completely upending my plans. I hadn't told my mom any of this. As far as she's concerned, that painful chapter is long closed. Reopening it would be cruel unless absolutely necessary. After taking some time to clear my head, I decided I needed proof. So I took Anna up on the DNA test. We met briefly at a testing lab, both a bit awkward but polite. The results came back quickly, a 99.9% probability that we share a parent. Given everything else, it's obvious our father is the link. During that waiting period, I also reviewed my dad's old bank records. As executor, I had access but hadn't dug too deep until now. Sure enough, I found a history of consistent payments to Anna's mom, dating back over 2 decades. The amounts weren't huge, a few hundred a month, but they were regular. The last payment was just over a year before my dad passed, coinciding with when his health took a sharp downturn. Once I had confirmation, I called Anna. The first thing she asked, gently, was whether I believed her now. I told her I did, and apologized for how cold I'd been at first. She apologized too, for dropping such a bombshell on me. We kept the conversation light, didn't talk money, and agreed to speak again soon. A few days later, I visited her home. She lives modestly in a small rental apartment with her 2 young kids and her mother, who has advanced dementia. She's doing it all herself, scraping by on small freelance gigs and partial child support. The care her mother needs is intense and constant, and it's clear that things are tough. She told me everything about her life, the arrangement our father had with her mother, how she grew up without him, knowing he was out there, but not in her life. She showed me letters and cards from him, birthday notes, a couple of holiday cards, photos. It hit me like a truck. I recognized his handwriting. It was surreal to see birthday wishes addressed to a sister I never knew I had. Eventually, we talked inheritance. I explained that while I empathize, the estate isn't liquid. The house is my home. The business is my livelihood. Giving up half would mean dismantling the life I've built. She understood. She didn't argue. She said she'd only ask for half because she believed that's what our dad wanted. Not out of greed, but desperation. She was thoughtful, respectful, even said she didn't want to ruin my life over this. We hugged when I left. A real, genuine hug. It felt like we were starting to understand each other. I decided to check one last thing, whether my father had ever formally tried to change his will. I met with his lawyer, and it turns out, yes, about 11 months before he passed, my dad began the process of updating his estate plan. The lawyer showed me a draft will, never signed, that included a trust fund of around $100,000 for Anna and a small provision for her mother. The rest of the estate would still have gone to me, but my dad never finalized it. His health took a steep decline shortly after the draft was written, and he never followed through. So legally, I'm the sole heir, but morally, I now had a clearer picture of what my father intended. He wanted to make amends, but life, or his own hesitation, got in the way. After much thought, I made my decision. I met Anna one final time in a lawyer's office. I told her everything, including what the lawyer revealed. I said that I wasn't going to split everything down the middle, but I was going to give her a significant one-time gift of $95,000. That's about a quarter of the estate, and close to what my dad was planning to give her. She stared at me for a moment, speechless. Then she started crying. Through the tears, she said thank you, over and over. She said she was expecting to walk away with nothing, that this would completely change things for her, help with her mom's care, take the pressure off, give her room to breathe. We signed a formal agreement that laid out the terms, that this was a voluntary gift and not an admission of obligation, just to protect both sides. She had no issue with that. Then she gave me another hug, this one tighter, realer. She told me she hoped we could stay in touch. I said I'd like that too. So here we are. A few weeks ago, I was stunned and defensive. Now, I feel like I've done the right thing, for her, for my father's memory, and for myself. We didn't get the ending either of us expected, but we found something better than a legal fight. We found a way forward. Since that final meeting, I've had some time to reflect. This entire experience forced me to face things I never expected. The hidden chapters of my father's life, the complexity of family, and what it really means to do the right thing when the law, logic, and emotion don't all line up. Giving Anna $95,000 wasn't easy, not just financially, but emotionally. It's money I could have invested into the business, the house, my future. But I don't regret it. Not because I think I owed it to her in the legal sense. I didn't. But because it helped turn a painful surprise into a human connection. I now know that my dad had deep regrets. He didn't do right by Anna or her mom during most of his life, but he tried to at the end. And while he didn't finish what he started, I was in a position to. Does that mean I'm some kind of hero? No. I'm just someone who was handed a complicated mess and tried not to make it worse. I still live in my father's house. I still run his business. Every day, I see pieces of the life he built, the life he passed on to me. Now, I carry that legacy with the full truth in view. Not a sanitized version of who he was, but a real one. He made mistakes. He hid things. He hurt people. But he also tried to fix some of those mistakes before he died. And through me, in a small way, he kind of did. Anna and I are not suddenly close siblings. We're still figuring out what kind of relationship we want to have, if any. But there's mutual respect now. No hostility. No courtroom battle. Just two people navigating the complicated aftermath of a man they both knew in very different ways. I've even gotten a few updates from her. Her mom is receiving more consistent care now. Anna sounds less overwhelmed, and her kids, my nieces, technically, are doing well. She sent a photo of them recently. I didn't expect it to hit me like it did. They're bright-eyed, full of energy, and, well, part of my family. I guess what I've learned is this. Families don't always come together the way you expect. Sometimes they're broken. Sometimes they arrive late. Sometimes they're built out of secrets and shame. And sometimes, grace and forgiveness. In the end, this wasn't just a story about money. It was a story about what kind of person I want to be when the easy answer is to just walk away. And I'm glad I didn't.